What do we have for Gemini? Five of Swords, Aquarius energy at the foundation of the reading, Gemini. Gemini, I feel that right now you are dealing with a lot of energies that are coming into your orbit, trying to rewrite your story using heavy gaslighting tactics. And I feel that the way this is showing up are people that are sensing you're about to have a breakthrough, sensing that you're about to move in a certain direction or another, and they're trying to instill some sort of self-doubt so you don't actually push through to the other side and access this new timeline or this new beginning, whatever it may represent. And there's a couple of different messages I'm getting with this Five of Swords. On the one hand, I feel that this is something deliberate that's taking place. It could be people around you. It could be people that have access to you in some way, shape, or form, whether it's over the internet or in your everyday waking life. It could be family members, it could be friends, it could be really anybody. But it seems to be overwhelming enough to where it's showing up here. Gemini, there's something I need you to understand. When you get hit with some sort of delay, like the one I'm picking up here for you, as you are on approach to some new breakthrough, it's because you are about to succeed at whatever it is you're trying to pull off here. So rather than get discouraged and, God forbid, give up, you need to actually use it as a way to pump yourself up to push even harder. There's a message here with this Five of Swords as well that you need to really take a closer look at some of the energies you have around you. Now would be a perfect time to bring an ending, to terminate any unhealthy relationships you may have in your life, because I feel that the universe is really going to make these energies obvious to you, because it's going to be these energies that try to bring this delay into your life right before you have this breakthrough. It's like all of a sudden seeing somebody for who they truly are, not realizing that it was them the entire time. But the way this is going to be exposed to you, you can't deny it. It's like looking at somebody and you're like, oh my God, it was you the entire time. You're the one who's been blocking me. But it's all in the energy, Gemini. So what I mean by this is there's just certain actions that this person or these people do. By default, whenever you're about to have a win, they come in like a bull in a china shop to try and shut it down. There's also something going on with Saturn right now that is purposely causing these delays, particularly in career pursuits, whoever that resonates with. But this is happening as a means to expose these opposing energies to you. It's going to allow you to refine your skills and build resilience as well, Gemini. That's what this is all for. This is not one of these delays that you need to just throw in the towel and wave the white flag and give up. It's one of these delays where you need to give it everything you got. And I have Judgment on the bottom of the deck. So Pluto, Scorpio energy. And this is really speaking about this energy of perspective surrounding what has been causing these delays in your life. Yeah. Spirit is wanting you to make some sort of final decision here, Gemini. During this time of exposure. You know, simply put, it could be that somebody is being exposed to you for who they really are and causing delays in your life. And you're meant to dissolve your connection with that person because they can't go with you into this new beginning. It's like you're heading towards the new beginning and the divine is like, hold on, Gemini. We need to have a review of some of the people that you have influencing you at current because you got some traitors on board your ship there. And then I have Knight of Swords right there as well. So Knight of Swords, this is all about lifestyle changes. It's like something, let me rephrase that. You're being asked to implement some sort of lifestyle change into your life to be able to move forward. What do we have? The sacral, please. Two of Swords, Libra energy at the sacral. There's somebody here, Gemini, or something, take it as it resonates, that is creating confusion for you. This confusion is being used as a weapon against you to get you to give up. This energy here wants you to be stuck doubting yourself, confused if you are indeed moving in the right direction. This energy wants you to feel like you're at a stalemate. But I'm also hearing something here, Gemini, about not compromising with anybody right now. I feel like this can be a tactic that somebody is using against you to try and derail you. But it's like somebody is trying to really get inside your head. You don't need to compromise with anyone here, is what I'm getting, Gemini. But this person is trying to use some sort of manipulation tactics, even gaslighting tactics, because this is probably something that they've used in the past on you, and it's worked. And Gemini, I'm hearing something about somebody messing with the numbers. I feel like that's going to resonate with somebody out there. You know, an example of this would be, I'm picking up on somebody trying to really diminish your success or what you're doing here, Gemini. For example, it's like somebody who opens up a store and 100 people showed up on the first day. But this person says, oh, so I did a head count and there was only 25 people that showed up. But you know that there was 100 people there. But they're doing it because they're trying to diminish your success. So take that analogy and fit it where it resonates into your life. But there's something like that here. And it feels like somebody close to you or somebody that's trying to get close to you. It's almost as if this person wants you to need them. Oh, I just heard coattail rider. Makes sense? You know, Gemini, this is something I deal with almost daily. Somebody trying to diminish what I do working in the spiritual community. Somebody trying to tell me I'm not doing something right. Somebody trying to tell me that one thing isn't one way when it is. They're just saying that because they have nothing better to do than try and stagnate me on my path. But what I found is, Gemini, whenever I deal with these people, and I think this is probably the same for you, none of these people are doing anything for anybody but themselves in their own lives. I always have to remind myself this, right? If people were busy working on their own thing, they wouldn't care what you're doing. Nobody has time to think about what anybody else is doing when they're actually doing something worthwhile. And this is something that is very prevalent in spaces where you are at service to other people, right? I am at service to all of you here. And because I think about things in a very deep way, Gemini, because of energy, and I really look at things in terms of polarity, so support and resistance. But what it comes down to, Gemini, these energies that I'm picking up on here, and the same energies that I deal with, these are extensions of the devil. They're extensions of the underworld that are sent into your life because you're doing something that's actually worthwhile and important inside the collective and for the greater good of humanity. So when you start to add this additional layer to what these people's ulterior motives actually are, you can start to actually see that in most cases, these people are the devil's minions. And they may not even know that. A lot of these people don't even know what they're doing. They just have some force that is possessing them and overtaking them and causing them to come on your path and create distractions and delays. And on the bottom of the deck, I have the Wheel of Fortune. And this Wheel of Fortune, we're looking at it from the back like we're on approach. So this really represents the portal or the threshold that you're getting ready to cross over. And see how there's that devil energy hanging out at the bottom right there? This is representing them. It's like they're hanging out, mucking up your new beginning with their energy. They're trying to have some sort of an influence on how this all goes. What do we have, the solar plexus, please? Wow, 8 of Wands in reverse, Sag energy at the solar plexus. So exactly what we're picking up here. It's like there's an energy here that is trying to create delays. You know, I'm picking up on people that some of you may have in your orbit that are watching you work really hard towards something and have strategically planned to come in during the 11th hour, right before you're getting ready to have a breakthrough, and create some sort of disruption or chaos. And I feel for some of you, this has been going on for quite some time. But this time, you're actually going to see who it is. I'm really seeing the 7 of Swords in my mind's eye right now. Somebody doing something underhanded. But this next time, you actually see it. And it's shocking, because if this is somebody close to you, you never expected it. In fact, these are the same kinds of people that would maybe console you when you would not get the breakthrough, something like this. real backstabber energy here. And this also really aligns with the astrology at current for you right now, Gemini. There's some sort of changes that are going to take place with some of your relationships. Some of your connections might actually fade, Gemini, and you might find that there's going to be new ones that actually emerge. But you have to trust that all of these shifts are meant to bring you closer to your authentic self, which is going to trigger a deeper understanding of what's taking place here. You know, this is an energy, I only have 3 cards on the table, but this is an energy of somebody who wakes up inside the matrix of their life and they start to realize that everybody around them was strategically placed there. There was a plan put in place to keep you stuck off of your path because of something you... I just got a really loud ringing in my left ear. Okay. Because of something that you are getting ready to accomplish or start moving toward. And the ringing in my left ear, it was kind of slow and it was a dull kind of ringing. It did not feel supportive. It felt like some sort of opposing force. But I felt that it was to confirm that what I was saying in that moment was correct. It's like an exposure, right? And then right on the bottom of the deck, I have Temperance, Sag energy again, okay? So Sag and Sag. But this Temperance here, this is an energy of purpose, balance, and meaning. This is where you're going. And this is why all of this is happening. Let's switch decks. What do we have at the heart position, please? Justice. Wow. Libra energy right there at the heart. I just heard the first will be last, and the last shall be first. There's a tipping of the scale here, Gemini. We saw that Wheel of Fortune. It's like you're moving from the bottom of the wheel to the top of the wheel right now. This is why all of this is taking place. There's a shifting of the tides, but this is happening because of the hard work and focus that you have been putting into whatever this represents for you here. For some of you, this is all about some sort of spiritual awakening or ascension process that you're going through at current. For others, this could represent something in your career, maybe a personal relationship. I'm hearing something about Spirit having seen everything and that this was always a part of the plan, but it took you actually self-empowering and seeing how truly significant and special you are for all of this to actually unfold. This is one of these situations, Gemini, that a lot of you have dreamt about for a long time. What's taking place here now is what daydreams are made out of. It's one of those, I wonder if I'll ever get a chance at life. And then here it is. It's also one of these situations, Gemini, where you just wake up and from one day to the next, you feel like your life has completely changed. It's like you wake up on a new timeline. All of a sudden, everything is moving in your favor. And you know, Gemini, I can tell you based on my own experience that sometimes, a lot of the time, this can come down to one toxic person that you have in your life, especially if it's a family member or somebody you've always had close to you. I always give the analogy of the pin in the dam, right? It's like that one toxic person is the pin that is holding back this dam from breaking open, which is representing your breakthrough. I'm hearing something about this energy being a common denominator in your life. They've sprinkled a little bit of their energy over everything that you've ever done or tried to do. It's time for a review. And if you don't know who this is, Gemini, or what this may be, it could even be a behavioral pattern. For some people, it comes down to addictions. Take it all as it fits. But when you think about it in terms of a common denominator, you can see how any one of those things could be a possibility. It could be a story you tell yourself. It could be a relationship you keep with yourself that isn't in alignment with your highest good. This could be you putting yourself down internally. And in order to get the breakthrough, you got to heal that. What do we have at the throat, please? Oh, perfect. Wow. What a card to follow what I just said. The Fool, literally card 0. So here's the new beginning. After all of this, You finally step into the new timeline. You've crossed over that threshold that I was speaking about in the Wheel of Fortune, and now here you are. I just heard starting over. But not like you've gone back to the beginning. It's like starting at the beginning of the next level in the game. But this is all a result of the relationship that you keep with yourself. You know, this has been coming up in a lot of the readings lately about the importance of the relationship we keep with ourselves. And it seems obvious enough, but sometimes we don't really realize just how much we are holding ourselves back by the way we talk about ourselves, by the way that we communicate with ourselves. You should always be in a very nurturing, loving space with yourself. Don't put yourself down. Don't compare yourself to others. You are all that you has. You are unique, and there's only one of you in this entire universe. You know, whenever I hear people saying, I wish I could be that person, I wish I could have that person's life, I always think to myself, wow, that's a devastating thing to say to yourself, because that means that you would cease to exist. I feel like someone needed to hear that right now, because each one of us has our own custom-made path, and to sacrifice that, to have what somebody else has, or to be who somebody else is, I think is a really heartbreaking thought to find yourself having. You know, it's common for us to feel that way when we're younger, of course, growing up, trying to put it all together and just trying to figure out who we are. But then as you get older, this is when you improve the relationship with yourself. You need to love on yourself more, Gemini. You need to laugh at yourself more, right? In a positive way. Something that helps me is when I think about myself in terms of my higher self and myself that's here in the third density. My higher self is obviously all-knowing, so to speak. My lower self is more childlike and just kind of bumping into walls and tripping over my shoelaces, you know, just trying to figure out how to live this thing called life, right? My higher self's just kind of rolling his eyes at my lower self. But there's this very loving, nurturing thing going on there. This can be really helpful to strengthen that relationship with yourself, Gemini, is to think about yourself in terms of your higher self and your lower self. It's like our higher self is up in a ship somewhere controlling our lower self. Our lower self is kind of like an avatar, and that's how we access the third density and make our way around this particular reality that we're in. Let's switch decks. What do we have at the third eye, please? King of Pentacles, Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn energy at the third eye. So I'm starting to actually see the breakthrough and the success that is connected to all of this actually taking place here, Gemini. But you need to assure your presence here. You need to really fight for this. And I feel that the fight all has to do with your environment, the relationship you keep with yourself, right? All of those things that I mentioned. You choose which one of those fits with your set of circumstances. For some of you, it's going to be a little bit of a bunch of different things. Typically speaking, it is, because the external influence has an impact on the relationship you keep with yourself, obviously, right? If you're surrounded by negative people that are always talking down on you, telling you that you're not going to be able to do this, that, and the other, then all of a sudden you're going to start communicating with yourself in the same way, right? It's like the saying, we are the sum of the 5 closest people to us. And this is so very true. When I really started to understand this, oh boy, I looked at the 5 closest people to me in my life and I ran for the hills, Gemini. I couldn't get out of there fast enough. And what I mean is a previous timeline that I once lived on. When I understood that every move that I was making, whether I realized it or not, was being colored by the influence that I had around me. And I started to understand that this is why I wasn't having breakthroughs in my life. I couldn't remove myself fast enough. And then sure enough, very soon after, massive breakthroughs started to unfold in my life. Ones that eclipsed any little breakthrough that I had at any other point in my life over the course of several decades. It all came down to just a handful of people that were influencing me to live my life in a certain way. And that's not me pointing fingers at other people or shifting blame. That's actually me taking responsibility and doing something about it. At the end of the day, the only person that there is to blame is ourself. I mean, there are some exceptions, when you're too young to know any better. So for me personally, it came down to mostly family dynamics. So when you're born into those family dynamics, it's all you ever know. And it takes growing up and having a bunch of failures till you start to look around and go, okay, what's going on here? Then you start to compare maybe your childhood and how you grew up to quite possibly how other people grew up. And you start to see that maybe there was something there that was a bit off. This leads you to a big spiritual awakening, leads you to doing some inner child healing work, all of that good stuff, Gemini. But I say all this because all of these messages are inside your energy right now. So this is what a lot of you are starting to have hard realizations around. And this King of Pentacles is going to solidify a lot of this for you, because it's basically saying that there will be a point when you are surrounded with some sort of success. There'll be something around you that represents to you and to others that you have had some sort of a breakthrough or success in one field or another. And this what allows you to have the clarity and the knowing that there was something on this previous timeline that was purposely, that was deliberately holding you back. And that King of Pentacles is right there at the third eye. So your third eye is all related to your visions and seeing beyond the material world, right? So what I mean by that is these dynamics I'm picking up on here, a lot of this stuff is hidden. It's not so obvious to you. It takes going inward and going through some sort of an awakening and looking at things energetically speaking to actually see it. Right now, I'm being led to give you this example, but it's somebody who smiles in your face, and then as soon as they turn their back to you, they roll their eyes and they just snicker or have some nasty thought about you. But when you start to look at things energetically, it's like spirit putting you directly in front of them when they turn around, so you can see their eyes rolling, so you can see the snicker, so you can actually sense the nasty thought. That's what I'm picking up on here. And then right on the bottom of the deck, I have the Sun, so Leo energy, King of Cups, and the Hangman, Eight of Cups. All of these cards are speaking about what we're picking up on here. So the Sun, the most high vibrational card in the tarot, success. This is your breakthrough. King of Cups, very stoic energy. So this is you. Well, Gemini, it's basically this new version of you that has been birthed out of all of this. You're no longer allowing certain things to affect you the way they once did. You've gathered all of this wisdom, and you're just not going down that path anymore. Hangman, this is really talking about this perspective shift. This can really speak about the example that I just gave about spirit allowing you to be in front of that person so you can see them rolling their eyes. Eight of Cups, it's like finally withdrawing and not going back. Six of Wands, you have this personal triumph, and High Priestess by way of divine guidance. And also the Magician, Death card. Okay, so big transformations with this Death card, the Magician. So this is turning your visions into reality now. It's like all of a sudden you have access to these kinds of superpowers that you couldn't quite, I just heard, get off the ground before. But now all of a sudden you're manifesting with ease. And again, Gemini, all of this can come down to one person. One person. And you may ask yourself, well, how can one person hold me back from all of that? Well, if you're allowing this person into your energy, if you're allowing this person to give their opinions on how you're moving, or you're seeking advice from this person, then you could see how this is very easy. It's like you're giving your energy away to these individuals. What do we have at the crown, please? Wow. And look who decided to show up to the party, Gemini. The devil. Capricorn energy at the crown. I should have known. We did know. We spoke about it. He had to show up. He heard us say his name. He's not one to miss a party. But this is really confirming everything we've said here, Gemini. You're breaking free of this spiritual bondage. You're looking past the material nature of things. You're looking deeper. You're looking beyond the veil. I just got a ring in my ear when I said that. And then I was flooded with a message surrounding auditing people in your life, friendships. Do it quietly, obviously, but there's something that's hiding in plain sight. It's like it's right underneath your nose. The analogy of the pin in the dam. I'm seeing that in my mind's eye. I'm also hearing something again about you reconnecting with your inner child. There's an emphasis on healing past wounds, especially those connected to your childhood. You need to tap into that playful, innocent part of yourself. Like I mentioned, right? Laughing at yourself and really working on that connection with yourself. Joyful activities can be profoundly healing right now. And this was coming up in the Sag reading as well. Actually, in the Sag reading, I spoke about writing a letter to your inner child. I have a feeling this is going to come through in a lot of the readings that I'm doing this week. But it makes perfect sense because it's all in the astrology. Now's the time for it because it arms you with something, Gemini. It's like you heal a part of yourself or parts of yourself that need rebalancing so you have enough confidence to push through into the new beginning. It makes perfect sense. If somebody put you down in your childhood and you carried that with you throughout your life and you haven't been able to get the breakthrough, and here Spirit is guiding you to do some inner child healing, which is really you just being there for yourself, right? It's you in the here and now being there for your inner child when nobody else was, and healing that part of you, that wound that is having a negative influence on this breakthrough. So there's obviously a tremendous depth that I'm getting here, Gemini, but I think you all got enough of what I'm putting down here to actually start functioning inside of that space. So we'll move on. What do we have at the foundation of the reading, please? Wow, I just saw on the bottom of the deck was the Strength card, and the Strength card from this deck is like Strength in reverse. It's an energy of self-doubt. Okay, too many cards. What do we have at the foundation, please? The Chariot, Andras, Cancer energy. So this is an energy of delays. It's an energy of lacking focus, and it's right underneath this Five of Swords, which pairs perfectly because that Five of Swords is that energy that is trying to create some sort of tension, some sort of distraction. That's the energy that comes through in the 11th hour like a bull in a china shop, breaks everything down, but does it without you noticing. It's like you finally see this person, these people, whatever it is, this behavioral pattern for what it truly is. And when it comes to a behavioral pattern or even an addiction, most of the time, if not all of the time, it's also going to be connected to something you have gone through on your path with somebody external to you. The behavioral pattern could be based on some sort of negative influence in your childhood. That behavioral pattern, in some cases, for those that it resonates with, can obviously lead to addictions, trying to fill a void, trying to fill a space. And the addictions don't always have to be that obvious, like drugs or alcohol or smoking, or it could be addictions to food. It could be addictions to specific patterns that don't serve your highest good. Sometimes the behavioral patterns or even the small addictions can be what's holding you back. So in saying all that, now's a perfect time to really go in with a microscope, Gemini. If you're not having a breakthrough, then you need to start doing some detective work and figuring out where the source of this resistance, where this blockage rather, exists. Because for a lot of you, I'm getting something at the root chakra here with this Five of Swords and Chariot in its negative polarity. And that can speak about your environment. It can speak about the people in your life. It can speak about anything involving your stability. And stability doesn't always have to be just your home or your money or whatever. It could be things you've always known, people. So with all of that in mind, it suggests that whatever it is that needs to be plucked out may rock the foundation of your life in some capacity here. It's like that one family member or friend that you would have never thought could stab you in the back, and you find out that they are the reason for many, many problems in your life. It's like somebody behind the scenes doing things to affect your life. And this is very difficult to come to terms with. And I speak from experience here, Gemini. When I went through this and Spirit was exposing to me truths about individuals in my life that didn't have my best interest in mind, but told me they did. And I just never would have thought to think that they would do anything to hurt me. I come to find out that these are not people that I can trust in any way, shape, or form. Friends, family members, people that tried to deliberately hurt me. And I remember what I went through as I was trying to process all of that. Even now, when I think back, it's still mind-blowing to me, because as I found out and I spoke up about it, none of these people said anything. They didn't argue with what I had to say. In fact, they buried their head in the sand in fear that I even found out the horrible, despicable things that they tried to do to hurt me without me knowing. So I know what it feels like to have to come to terms with these things. Depending on how severe it is, it may not be something that you ever completely come to terms with. You just accept it as a part of your path and a part of life. But make no mistake, it alters the way you perceive life all around forever. I don't look at life the same anymore. It's better now. I look at life through a clear lens. I'm not looking through rose-colored glasses anymore. I see things in a way that I never did. I'm grateful for that, but it came with some heartbreaking and reality-shattering truths. And this is what I'm getting here for a lot of you, okay? But you also have to remember, Gemini, that when it comes to what I'm picking up here, it's either you or them. And if you've been left with having to make that decision, that means that there's something incredibly important that you're being tasked with doing on your path. And when you start to understand this, all of this begins to make sense, because you start to see this force that has been placed in your life to keep you from that mission, from that task. What do we have? The sacral, please. Six of Swords. Aquarius energy at the sacral. Unbelievable. I just said it's either you or them. What do we get? Two of Swords stacked with Six of Swords. Six of Swords is an energy on one hand that represents your rite of passage, you moving forward beyond the pain of all of this, or it's you continuing to carry the baggage to be defined by all of the things that you could have been. And right here, Gemini, it's either you or them. This is the decision that you're being tasked with right now. See, in spirit, this is an all-out war. What do we have at the solar plexus, please? Eight of Pentacles, Virgo energy at the solar plexus. The Eight of Pentacles from this deck is an energy of lacking ambition and focus. It's an energy that wants you to think that you don't have what it takes. It's an energy that wants you to just throw in the towel, because none of your efforts are ever going to result in a breakthrough. And Spirit here is saying, hey, you know what, Gemini? Why don't you go ahead and toss that person out and then see if you get the breakthrough. But Spirit here is encouraging you to remove this person, these people, this behavioral pattern, or whatever it is, because this is actually what, again, is stopping you from having the breakthrough, stacked with the Eight of Wands at the solar plexus. There's also this energy here of feeling inferior to something. I can't do it because of this or because of that. Obviously an energy of making up excuses in one area or another, and that's okay. But if that does resonate with you, you just need to recognize that and see it as something that is spiritual in nature. It's a kind of principality that is causing you to be at war with yourself. It's like that little devil and that little angel that we each have on our shoulder, right? It's like the devil has taken the little angel and he's duct taped his mouth closed and tied him up. You got to free the little angel on your shoulder and you're going to flick the devil off, Gemini. What do we have at the heart, please? Visago, the tower, Mars, Aries, Scorpio energy at the heart. So this tower here speaks about somebody who is trying to avert the disaster of you stepping into your power. There's an energy here of oppression. It's like somebody, something, whatever it may be for you, in fear that you are going to remember who you are and how powerful you are. And by any means necessary, they must stop this from happening. And then we have the Three of Wands, Aries energy, creation of all things. So now we are finally starting to see this energy where you're pushing forward, and there's a clear indication that the divine is guiding you. You don't even need your eyes to see. Your palms are up, which has shown me clearly that you are following this divine guidance. But in order to do this, you obviously have to meet the divine halfway so they can help you. Help Spirit help you by surrendering to these hard truths. What do we have at the throat, please? Wow. I literally just followed what I said. High Priestess, divine guidance. God, the eternal lasting, success, protection from magistrates. Pisces energy. The Fool stacked with the High Priestess, stepping out on faith in the knowing that the divine has got your back. See, when you have that level of faith that allows you to actually step out on faith, no matter how things may look, you're not worried about all the little details. You just go because you're being guided to go, right? However that shows up for you. This always leads to the biggest breakthroughs. You know, I mentioned that when all of this was exposed to me, I had to remove myself. I couldn't get out of there fast enough, and I didn't have a plan in place. I didn't know what I was going to do. And it was also at a time when the world was shut down, if you know what I mean. So there wasn't a whole lot of options, but my faith was so strong. I just knew that I was going to make it to the other side. I didn't know what that was going to look like. I just had this feeling inside of me. I felt more connected than I've ever felt to Source, the divine, to Spirit, to God. And sure enough, I landed on my feet. I couldn't believe it. Even now, I always think back every day. I think about it. And, you know, these things we hear about, things I talk about here, it's all tried and true. I don't just say this stuff to say it. I say it because I've done it. It may not be exactly what you're going through, Gemini, but I've been through a version of it. I'm telling you right now, if you can harness this faith and hope and just give it to Source, you'll land back on your feet, and it'll be way better than not only what you could have thought it could be, but it's going to eclipse what you were dealing with. You're going to look at what you've come from in a completely different way. You're going to look at this previous time in your life like it was a kind of hell. Like you just left hell. You don't even know it was hell when you were in it. You knew something was off, but you just thought that that was the hand you were dealt. You just thought that that's how life is supposed to be. But I can tell you right now, if those are in alignment with anything that you have thought or you tell yourself, there's definitely a better way. What do we have at the third eye, please? 10 of Wands, Sag energy at the third eye. Nanuel, spiritual communication, influences religious men, teachers, and men of law. The 10 of Wands from this deck is an energy of freedom. It's an energy of finally saying no, lightening your load, and stepping into alignment with your true north. There's also this message here about a lot of you just taking on too much. It's like there's so many burdens, so much stress and weight of this timeline that a lot of you have been on. It's time to move on from this now. It's time to graduate on to the next season of your life where you are at the top of the wheel. What do we have at the crown to close out for Gemini? Wow. Perfect. The Hierophant, Haziel, the merciful God. Divine forgiveness, obtains friendship and favors of the great, secures promises. God. Stacked with the devil at the crown. It's like this war between good and evil. dark and light, the two polarities of your life, facing off. The devil trying to keep you stuck on this previous timeline in spiritual bondage, and the divine coming through, giving you the courage and the strength to push forward and break free of this spiritual bondage here. There's really not a more powerful way to end this reading, Gemini, than to have the devil stacked with the divine, God, at the crown. It also suggests to me that a lot of you have been the subject of some sort of mental attacks that are trying to distort your perception of reality, faith, spirit, just your belief systems in general, which touches on what I said in regards to individuals trying to rewrite your story using gaslighting tactics, right? It's like people saying to you, God doesn't exist, when they're knowingly working for the devil, right? So just stand strong in your knowing, Gemini. Stand strong in your faith, in your hope, and do not ever relinquish that for anybody or anything. And remember that anybody or anything that makes you feel like you do need to relinquish that needs to be distanced from your life as quickly as possible. Because much like what I said in regards to you are the average of the 5 people you surround yourself with the most, this can also be said about behavioral patterns. What are you doing with your time? Who are you giving your time to? These are all of the areas that you need to look at right now, again, with a microscope, so you know what to do. Gemini, this is the message I have available to all of you, depending on where you are on this timeline, should you choose to accept. I'm going to go ahead and leave it here. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you would like a personal reading, you can find all of my contact details in the description below this video. And thank you for your donations, Gemini. Take care.